So I'm back again with some more phones that I used to own. These belong to my wife and daughter. They're the Samsung S3 Mini. They were released in 2012. I did not own one of these at the time. I had a bigger phone. I can't remember what it was, maybe a Note 2 or something by this stage. So, yes, these were my uh, daughter's and my wife's phones, and they're both still intact. Surprisingly, I think that's probably the only phone that my daughter hasn't smashed. There's a few marks around both of them, but yeah, they still both work fine. So the S3 Mini was released in 2012. They have a Super AMOLED screen, which is pretty much their nicest feature. They do have a glass display at the front, but the frame and the back is plastic. So they have a 4-inch display with a resolution of 480 by 800. It's a 5 by 3 ratio and can support 16 million colors. And it has a pixel density of 233 pixels per inch. So yeah, that's pretty much the nicest feature on these little phones. They they're fine, they work fine, but they're slow today in comparison to super modern phones. They scroll through their menus and stuff fine, but when you start actually trying to do something, like playing a game, browsing the internet, even watching YouTube, they do chug along. So these are both running on Jelly Bean 4.2.2, which was the latest version of Android that you can put onto these. They did originally ship with Jelly Bean 4.1. So some specs about the phones. They have a Novathor U8420 chipset, a dual core Cortex A9 CPU at 1 gigahertz. They have a Mali 400 GPU and 1 gigabyte of RAM, which I think is the limiting factor on these. The 1 gig of RAM just isn't enough to run games and anything intense. Now, is I have a Dead Trigger on here, which is like a zombie shooting game, and it will run it. It plays fine, but it takes about 5 minutes to get actually into the main menu. Actually, loading the game seems to take forever, but it runs okay once you're actually shooting zombies. So these both have an 8 gigabyte internal memory, and they support SD cards. There's a SD card slot in the back with the battery. They have an accelerometer, a gyro, a proximity sensor, and a built-in compass. There's all the sensors that's in them. They support 2G and 3G, but not 4G. They support Wi-Fi 802.11, Bluetooth 4.0, GPS, NFC, and USB 2.0. They have a 5 megapixel camera, and it's capable of shooting video at 720p 30 frames a second, and as you can see there, that has a built-in flash. They do also have a front camera, a selfie camera, which is VGA quality, so pretty low resolution from the front camera. At this point, I'll throw in some sample photos and video of the cameras from these. Looking around the phone here, I have a single home button at the front. It also has a back button, which is a soft touch, and a menu button here. Camera at the front, and a proximity sensor, and I'm not sure what the other one is, possibly a light sensor. Your earpiece here in silver. Power button on the right of the phone, and your volume rocker on the left. On the bottom I have, I think that's a microphone, and a micro USB charging port, also used for data transfer. And on the top I have a 3.5mm headphone jack. On the back of the phone, camera, flash, and your speaker, single speaker. The back pops off really easy. Just put your fingernail in and rip it off, basically. So yeah, plastic back, pretty flexible, thin plastic. And the battery is a 1500 milliamp hour, 3.8 volt Li-ion, and they boast a standby time of 450 hours. Lifting the battery out gives you access to your micro SD card, and the SIM slot is here, just a single SIM slot. Just had to plug that in there because the battery's low in both of them, because I have been playing with them for the past day or so. So I have a few things installed on this one. I basically picked one, put the SD card in it, and have been playing about with it. So as you can see, it loaded up the Play Store reasonably quickly there. This is connected to my home Wi-Fi. Don't have a SIM card in it.
Oh, so you're coming with me? You're not leaving me alone with a camera? I mean, you thought I was gonna... Yeah, I mean, you know.
So still perfectly capable of doing everything you need it to. It just struggles a bit when things get too intense. I will put the trigger on here. I will not let you sit through the loading, but it does take a while. So, like I said, this plays dead trigger fine. It just takes a while to actually load the game. But its biggest flaw is because the screen's so small, your thumbs take up half the picture. You end up having to try and look past your thumbs. So one thing about playing a game like that on one of these phones, after about 2 or 3 levels, the phone is roasting. It's working its little heart out to try and play that game, although it seems to run it fine. It takes a while to load, like I said, but once you're actually playing the game, it's nice and smooth. The frame rate seems fine, but it's yeah, it's working hard to play it. So there you are. That's the Galaxy S3 Mini from 2012. Still does everything it's supposed to in 2020. A little slow, but really good for a backup phone, if nothing else.